Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. I'll bet you can guess what I got in the box here. I've got a Springfield Armory Saint. So let me turn the box around so that you can actually see the rifle. Of course I've got it set so when it's flipped up, somebody that's looking at you can see their logo. But this, by the way, is the actual case the gun comes in. And there we have the Saint rifle. It comes with this 30-round PMag. Of course the documentation and paperwork, the lock, of course, and then the rifle in this very solid, not quite a Pelican level, it's kind of like one step below a Pelican, but it's a very solid case that is lockable. There's little lugs on it right here that you can lock it so that it can be TSA approved. There's actually two on each side, so that you could use it as a TSA approved case to transport it in. And this is very unusual for a rifle to come with a case like this unless you're into the very high-end territory, the very expensive guns. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the camera. I'm going to get rid of the case so that we can get the gun out and I can actually start to talk about the gun itself. They announced this about a week ago, and when we saw the initial announcement, we were actually a little bit disappointed. We saw the announcement, looked at it, figured we're going to see a whole new line of guns, and what we saw was just another AR. And on first glance, when you look at this, that's what it is, just another AR. And it's not like there's not a lot of options already out there in the AR market. But as we started looking at it a little more, started looking at the feature set, which I'll talk about as we move forward, and look at the price, which is MSRP of about $8.99, all of a sudden this isn't just another AR. This is actually quite a high-end AR at a mid to low-end price, and actually makes it a little bit on the impressive side, and you'll see that as we start to go through some of the features. But this is a T&E gun that I picked up this week, courtesy of our friends over at Guns Galore in Lakeland, and I'll put their contact information down in the description. But this gun is got a lot of features, a lot of high-end features that you might expect on a rifle costing $1,500 or more in that territory. And it comes with a lot of features that you might be inclined to add later normally. This is pretty much a gun that is already upgraded. You can take it out of the box, shoot it, and not have to spend any money changing out handguards and everything else. So as you can see from the zoom in, it's unloaded. So we'll start with that. So we do have an unloaded weapon. But let me show you some of the features on this. One of the things is all of the furniture is Bravo Company. So the grip, the stock, and the handguard are all Bravo Company. And it comes that way from the factory. There's no extra add-ons. And you can see that the handguard is a key mod handguard. So you can use these key mod slots to add key mod accessories. Some lights and lasers actually have key mod mounts and they'll mount directly without having to install a rail. But you can also get Picatinny rails that have the key mod notches on them and install those. It has it on both sides, and it also has it underneath. The way this handguard is formed, it's a very low profile guard. You'll notice I can almost wrap my hands entirely around it. And with the shape of it, the way it's beveled at the sides and the bottom, it's actually quite comfortable to hold it. It's very intuitive to hold it and get a good grip on it. And because it's not round, no matter which way it's turned when I grab a hold of it, however I like to have my hand on it, I've got a good solid grip on it. It's not going to turn in my hands. There is a rail along the top, and this came with it. And you have these flip-up Magpul style, but they're actually Springfield Armory flip-up sights. And when you flip the sight up, it's got a double aperture. So it's got the small and the large. Now one thing you're going to see when you look at the shooting footage of it, with the prescription on my glasses and my eyes, really aren't compatible with this style sight. I believe the sights are perfectly good quality. They're excellent sights. I just couldn't see them quite as well. So I didn't pull as quite a good a group as this gun is definitely capable of. I did find when I brought the target in a little bit, I had a little bit less blurring going on, and I was actually able to pull a nicer group. But this gun is really capable of doing quite nice grouping and quite accurate if your eyes can work well with this type sights. If I were going to keep this rifle, I'd probably be inclined to put a little white dot on the end of this to give my eyes something to focus on, so that I can actually shoot it better than I did when you looked at the video. But I'm really convinced that's not the rifle. That was me. That was my eyes. If you have somebody whose eyes are suitable for that type of sights, you're going to have no trouble shooting this thing very well. You'll see the Springfield Armory coat of arms on several of the components. It's on the bolt, and it's on several of the other parts of the gun. It's a very nice looking gun. It is, you know, a standard AR, and it uses all standard AR components, but all of the upper, the lower, and the buffer tube are all 7075 T6 aluminum. So it's very high quality aluminum, very strong aluminum. The thing weighs about 6 pounds 11 ounces, which is right consistent with a lot of the other ARs that are out there. It's 35.5 inches from end to end with the stock extended. Right now I have the stock in the collapsed position. It does have a 6-position stock, and fully extended it's 35.5. In the collapsed position it's 32.25. So it does make a nice compact package when it's collapsed, but it does give you a nice length of pull for even taller shooters that need a little bit more length on it, and multiple positions in between. The pistol grip has a little compartment underneath it that's rather difficult to open, but it is a storage compartment. It's a little bit difficult to pull it open, and it is water resistant. There's an O-ring in there so that you could use this to store things that you didn't need to access frequently, possibly batteries for an optic, takedown cleaning tool, something like that. And it's a very comfortable grip. It fits well. It's not padded, but it fits well and fits comfortably in your hand. On the other side of it, let me turn this thing around here. A little cumbersome, something this large when you're dealing video. But on the other side, you have your standard controls. You have the bolt release right here, the safety selector, which is currently on fire now. I've got it on safe. And you'll see it's also got the coat of arms on this side as well. On the back on the other side of it, you have the Springfield Army Saint logo, which, see if I can get it to turn right so that there you can see it. It's kind of hard to get it to show up because it's just etched into the metal. But it's inobtrusive, but still nice looking. Now the gun comes with one PMag, 130 round PMag, but when we had it at the range we use these 10 round PMags, and the whole reason behind that is when I was laying prone on the deck, it was easier to have this mag sit, you know, unobtrusive and low and not stick down. It'll work fine with any PMag, and it should also work fine with any of the GI style metal mags, and it does, but it does come with this one PMag. One of the things that's different about this is the fire control group are nickel boron coated, and it does have a steel trigger. That nickel boron coating makes for an exceptionally smooth trigger pull. Now I'll show you the trigger pull in a couple seconds. They have shot peened and magnetic particle inspected the bolt. So it's a very high quality bolt. It's designed to be very durable and very long lived, but it would take any other standard AR bolt if you ever had to swap it out in the future. The other thing that it's got is it's got a heavy tungsten buffer. And let me pop it open and I'll show you that. It does come apart like a standard AR. You pull out the back pin and it just flips up. The front pin does have a tension screw pin on it, and it's also notched so that it can't rotate. You'll see it's kind of got a squared off piece here. And the front pin is actually rather difficult to pop out. So it's definitely not going to walk out on you. That little retention pin holds it in place. But the buffer is heavy tungsten, and that does smooth out and damp out the recoil. Now 223 doesn't have much recoil to start with, but the recoil on this gun was exceptionally mild, very smooth recoil. And on the hammer you can see the nickel boron coating, and it's real smooth. And what that results in is a very, very nice trigger pull. It came in around about 6 pounds when we measured it. They advertise it as between 6 and 7 pounds. But the smoothness of it made it feel like it was a lot lighter than that. I'm going to close it back up. Now, a typical AR, there is no problem with dry firing a typical AR. However, this is a T&E gun. It's not our gun. And our policy is never to dry fire a gun that we don't own, even if that gun can be dry fired. So I've got snap caps, inert dummy rounds for the dry fire. So let me close the bolt, chamber one of these snap caps, and put it on fire. So I'm going to do it with my left hand just so you can see it so my hand's not in the way. If I have a hold of it, got it in the fire position, there's minimal take-up. There's really almost no take-up at all, and as I'm pulling back on it there is tension on it, so it's not loose take-up. But this is about as far back as it goes before I actually start to feel the wall. And then I pull the trigger. That's the entire wall. That's the entire trigger break. It's really smooth. It's a very defined wall, so it's a combat style feeling wall in that it's not like a a match rifle where there's almost no feel to the trigger. You can feel the wall, but it's very short and very smooth. Unlike your typical AR-15 stock trigger, which is usually very gritty and has multiple steps along the way. As you pull it, you feel multiple stops. This has really got that initial take up, that very distinct wall, and then it fires. This is the type of trigger that you would have after you've bought the rifle and spent another $200 some and bought an upgraded trigger like a Timney or one of the others. Right from the factory. I was really amazed at how good this factory trigger is while not being a hair trigger. A few of the other things I may have neglected to mention, you do see it does have a dust cover. And this is something that for some reason a lot of the inexpensive ones omit. Has the shell deflector, which you tend to get on most all of them. Every once in a while you'll find one that doesn't have it. And it does have a functional forward assist. So that if you did have a problem getting it to go fully in battery, it's a fully functional forward assist. And the sights do have adjustability. The rear sight adjusts in half MOA increments without a tool. You just use this little knob. And you can actually use the gradations at the bottom to do that. And the front post is, twist adjustable just like any other AR. You turn it to rotate it up and down for height, and the rear sight you would adjust for windage. And of course the rear sight you can flip down if you've got an optic. It does have a little retention pin over here on this side to get it in the frame. A little retention pin. To put it down you have to push that retention pin in. That way it doesn't flip down on you on recoil. So it flips up without any tools or pushing any buttons, but to flip it down you have to push that pin. And that way it stays up if you've got it up. The barrel itself is a 16-inch barrel. It's chromoly steel and it's melanite coated instead of chrome lined or just bare. The barrel itself, the exposed components, the chamber and the bore are all melanite coating, which is an extremely hard coating. So what that does is it gives you a very durable barrel that's going to be very long-lived between the chromoly steel and the melanite coating, which is super hard. But you shouldn't lose accuracy and stabilization like you have a tendency to with chrome lined. Chrome line usually forfeits a little bit of stability for durability. The melanite shouldn't do that at all. And it's got a 1 in 8 right hand twist. So that 1 in 8 twist should allow it to do a very wide variety of bullet weights, probably up to somewhere in the 80 grain territory at the top end, and easily handle the standard 55 and 62 grain that's really popular. The buttstock has a rubber bumper on it, but it's really not a thick padding. It's got a little bit of texture on it, so it's going to grip you, and it's not going to slide up and down on your shoulder. And being rubber instead of hard plastic, it's going to give you a little bit of cushioning, and it's also going to have a little bit more of a tendency to grab your shirt or grab your clothing and stay put. Not that you really need a big fat heavy buffer on an AR-15. It's got a slot here for a sling. This is not a QD mount like it initially looked like. I was kind of surprised this doesn't have QD mounts, but there's a slot for a sling, and then of course it has up at the front end a setup for a sling. And interestingly enough, right here it's got built into it already a bayonet lug. So if you wanted to put a bayonet on it, it's good to go. And the flash hider is just a standard bird cage that is removable. It's not welded. So that you could remove this if you wanted to put on a muzzle device, suppressor or a different type of flash suppressor. So overall, when you look at this rifle, you look at what you get for around $900, it suddenly becomes very interesting. It's a very solid rifle, and unlike so many others in this price territory, we're going to buy it and then you're going to take it home and then you're going to upgrade the trigger and you're going to upgrade the furniture and you're going to upgrade this gun. Probably buy it, bring it home, other than maybe putting an optic on it, it would probably stay exactly the way it came from the factory. You don't even need to put a quad rail on it because of the key mod. So this is a T&E gun, but I'm not entirely sure it's going to go back. It actually might find a forever home here. We're that impressed with it. And also when I was taking another closer look at their website, it looks like there is going to be a line of ARs, with 5.56.223 being the first one. And I've got no confirmation of that from anybody. But the way they've constructed the site, it wouldn't surprise me to see 300 Blackout, or 308 or other variations of this theme using this same concept. So it'll be interesting to look forward to see what we get from that. So if you're looking for a very high-end AR at a mid to low-end price, check out the Saint. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, and I know you're going to like that trigger. Other than that, if you check out Guns Galore, and if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe. Have a great day. Thank you.